This is gonna feel like a tough love video, so buckle up, Buttercup. If you need to grow a business, but you are stuck or stagnant, you can't seem to make it go, we're gonna talk about 28 reasons why that might be the case. I want you to treat this like an audit. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and ask yourself an honest question with each one of these. Does this apply? You ready? I'm Tara Wagner, breakthrough coach and lifelong entrepreneur. I help other entrepreneurs use a holistic approach to business so they can create profits they can depend on without burning themselves out. If that sounds like your jam, be sure to check out my free training on how you can do the same. Business stagnation happens in two phases of business. The first is just the getting off the ground phase. This is going to be in your first 1 to 3 years when you're new to business and you can't seem to figure it out. You can't seem to gain enough traction to really get the ball moving, and you end up feeling like you're just not cut out for this. The second phase that this is going to happen in is a little bit later on down the road when your business is more mature, you are making money. Now, instead of trying to get off the ground, you're trying to get off the plateau, right? Or you're hitting your head against that ceiling. This is going to be where you're making money, but you can't seem to make more than what you're making right now or what you've always made. And you probably feel a little bit like you can't keep your head above water either. You're totally overwhelmed and you're starting to think, do I even want to grow my business bigger? Because if I'm this stressed out now, how much more stressed am I going to be down the road? So let's talk about the 28 reasons why you're stuck right here. And these reasons can apply to both phases of business. So regardless of where you are, pay close attention. And again, be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, how does this apply to me? Now, by the way, most of these are not in order of most common to least common. However, this first one probably is the most common. You are using a wait and see approach to marketing, or maybe even a post and hope approach. This means all the marketing you're doing is basically putting stuff out there, but you're not actually going out there and bringing people to you. You're putting stuff out there and then hoping that people find it and come in. Really take an honest look at all of your marketing strategies and ask yourself, am I just hoping people will come in, or am I going out and actively bringing them in myself? Comment with post and hope if you feel like I just called you out a little bit. Number 2 might actually be the second most common reason you can't grow a business, and that is you don't know who your buyers are. This could be related to not having a niche of buyers, and I know that that's a tricky topic. So if you do not like that topic, make sure you watch this video because I don't love the topic either, but the way that I talk about it is a little bit different. However, this could also apply to just not having a really deep understanding of your buyers. If you don't really know them almost as good as they know themselves, maybe in some ways better, you're gonna have a hard time selling to them because all of your marketing, all of your sales strategies, everything gets geared around their psyche, not your ideas. Number 3, you're confusing your buyers. This could be because you have too many offers, you're chasing too many ideas, you're going in too many different directions. Or it could just be the things that you're offering up aren't exactly clear on how they're gonna serve that ideal buyer, that ideal person that you most wanna serve. We talk about in the inner circle having a cohesive pathway for your people to walk down, something that is streamlined. All of your offers fit together and follow a natural progression. If you don't have that in your business, one cohesive pathway, you're not gonna have people know how to walk it. Number 4, you're chasing excitement versus consistency. We're all guilty of this one. This is where you're changing your offers, you're changing your marketing based on what piques your interest or what seems new and exciting at that moment. Or maybe just what seems less hard versus sticking with one thing long enough to really gain traction in it. It is better to do fewer things for a longer period of time to get really good at them than it is to try all the things to figure out what's gonna work. Nothing is gonna work right out of the gate. There's always a learning curve. There's always time that it takes to really start to see the results of something. So if you're not consistent with it, you end up just doing too much, which ends up being not doing anything at all. Comment with excitement if you think that this one might apply to you. The 5th reason you can't seem to grow your business is that you haven't really done the market research to validate it in the first place. Oh my gosh, the number of us that are guilty of this. I've done this too in my business. If we have a great idea, we just run with it thinking it's a great idea. Of course, people are gonna love it. But if you haven't done the market research, if you haven't tested it, if you haven't proven that your people are gonna love it, you can end up wondering why it's just crickets. It's just crickets because you ran with your great idea, not making sure that somebody else thinks it's great as well. This doesn't just relate to your first offers, by the way. You could be in business for 5 or 10 years and decide to add something new. You still get to do the market research to validate it before you put the time, energy, and money into trying to sell it. The 6th reason your business might not be growing is that your messaging is missing the mark. When I'm talking about your messaging, I'm talking about the things you say and how you say them. Are they grabbing your people? And the way that you know this is if people come to you and say, oh my gosh, I read your stuff and I was in tears, or it was like you were reading my diary, or I was just saying that exact same thing to so-and-so the other day. If your messaging isn't grabbing your people, it's not gonna convert your people either. Now again, remember, these are just reasons why a business might not be growing. They don't necessarily go in this order. However, number 7 is your branding doesn't match your pricing. The number of times I've seen people want to have premium pricing, but not have the branding, the messaging, the images, the copy, everything around it, related to it, all of your branding for your business on point with that price point, it's not gonna work, right? If you're trying to sell a high ticket item or you're trying to sell something that is more of a premium product, you gotta make sure that your branding speaks to a premium audience. If it doesn't, you either need to change your branding or change your pricing, one or the other. On the flip side of that, you might be spending more time on branding than you are on marketing. You can make everything look perfect, polished, absolutely beautiful, high-end. But if you're not marketing and marketing in the right ways, what does it matter if your website looks great? Nobody's gonna see it. The 9th reason you can't seem to grow a business is that you're spreading yourself way too thin on marketing. This is when we try to do every marketing strategy out there. What I want you to figure out is the right strategies for your business and then sticking to them in the right amount of ways until you have the ability to outsource it, to bring other people in, and to add more to your plate. Number 10, you are carrying too many buckets while not building a pipeline. This is something we talk about in the inner circle, buckets versus pipelines. If your job is to bring water every day, you can haul buckets to do that. It's fast, it pays the bills, it's necessary, and yes, keep doing it. But at the same time, you need to be building a pipeline because you can only carry so many buckets in a day, in a week, in a month, which means you're gonna hit that plateau or that ceiling in your business and not be able to grow past it simply because you are doing work that you have to show up for every day. Once you start to build a pipeline, that's gonna start bringing people in, right? This is the marketing and sales that brings people in naturally and is scalable. It doesn't require a certain number of hours from you every single week, which means you're not gonna tap yourself out. Really ask yourself here, how many buckets am I hauling versus how many pipelines? If you're new to business, do not neglect your buckets in favor of a pipeline. Pipelines are slow. They don't bring in things for a long time to come. Haul those buckets, but make sure you are setting aside time on a consistent, probably weekly basis to be building pipelines at the same time so that you don't hit that plateau. Comment below and let me know the ratio of buckets you're carrying versus pipelines you're building in your business. Number 11, you're playing small. You're not going after big opportunities. You're talking yourself out of those opportunities because you don't feel ready. How many times have you said to yourself, I'm just not ready for that, or maybe down the road, or this is just not the right timing? I want to encourage you to question whether or not this is just a form of imposter syndrome keeping you where you are, or whether it's actually a legitimate reason. I want to say most of the time it's probably an excuse, but there are times when it's legitimate. So you need to be honest with yourself. Are you keeping yourself small, or are you just pacing yourself? Number 12, you're not actively developing your weaknesses. You cannot grow a business if you're not gonna shore up the holes in the boat, right? We all have weaknesses. These are mindset weaknesses. These are skill set weaknesses, things in your business, skills that you need to grow this business. If you are not setting aside consistent time to develop yourself, your skills, your mindset, your abilities, you're going to stagnate in your business. You're not going to be able to grow if you're not growing yourself. More specifically, you're not actively growing your KPI skills. It's not enough to just grow your coaching skills if you're a coach. You need to grow your KPIs, your key performance indicators. These are the things that actually grow the business, that bring in revenue. These are things around marketing and sales primarily. You need to know what those look like in your particular business and learn how to develop each individual skill in them. Not just the overall skill, but learn how to hone in, dig in deeper. For instance, if you do sales calls in your business, learn how to master different sections of the sales call, not just being good at the overall sales call. Dig into the pieces that you're weak so that you can develop those skills so that you can grow your business. Number 14, you're not actively developing yourself. And yes, this is a little bit like number 12, but what we were talking about there was more developing your specific weaknesses. I want you to develop yourself not just around your weaknesses, but around your strengths as well. And I want you to develop yourself for where you want to go, not just where you are or what you need right here. If you want to go to a 7-8 figure business, what are the leadership skills? What are the mentoring skills? What are the HR skills? What are the organizational and planning skills that you're going to need down the road? You don't need to master 7-8 figure skills now, but you do need to understand that direction and make sure you're moving in it so that you're developing yourself. Your business can only grow up to the level that you are, which means you need to grow higher than your business at all times so that it is playing catch up. It will never grow bigger than you. So make sure that you are continuing to grow yourself, your ability, even the way that you view yourself, right? Not just viewing yourself as a small business owner, but viewing yourself as a CEO, viewing yourself as an entrepreneur, somebody who could run any business, not just this business. Number 15, you're prioritizing tasks that are maintaining or organizing your business versus growing it. I call these IPAs versus ISAs. And if you want to learn more about it, check out my free class below. I go more in depth on what an IPA versus an ISA is and how to determine them for your business. In a nutshell, we're looking at income producing activities versus income supporting activities. And we talk in that class about what your percentage of time needs to be for each one. Number 16, you haven't structured a business that can scale. If you're a service-based business, you really need to think about, I've only got so many hours in a week. How am I going to grow my business without growing my time? This could mean different offers. This could mean bringing in team members, bringing in people who can do the work for you. You really need to sit down and look long-term. Where is my business going? And am I structured in a way that it can continue to grow and not cap me out at a certain level? Number 17, you have unrealistic goals or expectations, or on the flip side, maybe you have uninspiring ones. Unrealistic goals, unrealistic expectations is when you set the bar so high that it's impossible for you to reach. You burn yourself out trying, or you overwhelm yourself. And when you're overwhelmed, you take no actions at all. On the flip side, with that uninspiring goal, if you have something that doesn't excite you, you don't have a reason why it matters, there's not something behind it that's driving you, you're gonna have a really hard time wanting to show up and grow your business, because what's the point? It's not interesting. Comment and let me know, do your goals feel unrealistic, uninspiring, or just right? Number 18 is a biggie, and this applies to big and small businesses, new or established, it doesn't matter. You're not tracking your numbers, you're not tracking your data, your analytics. This is so crucial. These numbers will not lie. They don't always tell the whole truth, but they do not lie, and they will be able to tell you what's missing, what's broken. If you have a sales funnel, and let's say there's 5 points of that sales funnel, your numbers will show you which part of the sales funnel is not working. You must No, you must track. You must constantly analyze your numbers in order to grow your business. This is how you fine-tune. This is how you fix. This is how you scale. Number 19, your spending is out of whack. This probably means you don't have a budget. You are either taking too much profit or too much money is going out into expenses, and you don't have the money that you need to invest in growth strategies, in coaching and in mentoring, or in the help you need to fix the areas of your business that are broken. Number 20, you are not hiring until you feel ready. Notice what I just said there. You need to hire before you feel ready. If you wait till after you feel ready, it's probably too late and your business is suffering. You need to hire before you feel ready, because that next hire, if you make the right one, can be strategic to move you forward. But you do need to know who to hire first or next. Don't jump into hiring out your sales or your marketing too soon. This is a tragic mistake I see in a lot of businesses, and it's not the right thing to do for most businesses right out of the gate. Most businesses hire these things out because they don't like to do them or they don't know how to do them. But you can only hire something out if you have a pretty decent knowledge of it yourself. Otherwise, you don't know if they're doing a good job. The 21st reason your business isn't growing is that you're not wowing your clients or your customers after they've purchased. We spend so much time and energy bringing people in, but we forget that once they're in, that's our greatest source of marketing. Word of mouth, referrals, testimonials, the things that will increase our business for free. And all it comes down to is making those people more than happy, giving them more than what they expected. Number 22, your systems are a hot mess. How can you expect to grow a business if nothing's automated, if everything is in your head, everything is a mess, you're the one that has to do everything, you don't have any SOPs, you're not able to hire out because they don't know what to do when they come in. Messy is okay to an extent, but you don't want to have things going on in multiple places. You don't want multiple to-do lists. You don't want things going everywhere. And it will slow you down. It will stop you from growing. So yes, it's okay to have a little bit of a mess. It's okay to be messy while you're growing, but at some point, you're going to have to divert energy into the systems that are going to scale with you. Any system that is in your brain or on a sheet of paper is not a scalable system. Comment with hot mess if you know your systems need some work in order for you to grow your business. Number 23, you are the operator versus the owner or the CEO. And I have an entire video on this topic. I highly encourage you to check it out, especially if you're a service-based business owner, but even if you're profit-based, if you are the operator, the person who has to run the business, the person who has to do the services, the person who has to make every product, you're gonna cap out, right? You've only got so many hours in a week. You gotta start training yourself to get out of those things and get into CEO mode more and more. And that video will show you how to do that. Number 24, this one calls me out because it's something that I struggle with a lot. Your business is not gonna grow if you have become the bottleneck. The bottleneck means that everything has to come through you. Every piece of proofing, every idea, every option, every email response, anything that has to happen in your business, if you have to put eyes on it, if you have to check it off, if you have to see it first, if you have to approve it, or if you have to have your hands in it in any way, shape, or form, you're the bottleneck. And you gotta learn how to take yourself out of those things, how to bring in the right people and train them so that you can trust them, and then trust them, because the only way they're gonna be able to do their job and do a good job is if you get out of their way. Don't become the bottleneck in your business, because this will slow everything down, right? Think about a bottleneck. Everything goes wide and then it goes narrow trying to get through that bottleneck. You're the bottleneck. You're clogging everything up behind you by having to be in everything. Plus, you're spending a lot of brain calories on things that do not need your time and energy, which takes it away from the things that do, the things that actually bring in more business. Number 25, you are spending way too much time worrying about about what other people are thinking or what other people are doing. This is when we are looking at the competition and we're comparing ourselves. When we're thinking about our friends and family and what are they gonna think if they see our ad, or we do this or we do that, or we make more money. If you are spending so much time trying not to lose, right? Which is what we do when we're comparing ourselves and we try to keep up with the Joneses, or we try to keep down with the Joneses. We try to make other people happy. All we're doing is focusing on not losing instead of focusing on winning. I want you to focus on, what are my goals? What are my values? What's the thing that I want to win at? What do I want to be known for? How do I feel about this? And then practice, learn how to stop worrying about what other people are going to think so that you can focus on what you know aligns with you. You cannot make everybody else happy, and you certainly cannot be doing what the competition is doing. You need to be focusing on making yourself happy, doing what you need and want and know you should be doing in your own business to reach the goals that you've set for yourself. Number 26, you're not allowing yourself to slow down long enough to figure out what's not working and fix it. That takes time and energy. And if you are so caught up in the hustle and bustle and in being too busy to actually work on growing your business, not just maintaining it, not just getting the things done that are on your to-do list, but actually carving out time and energy to work with a mentor, to work through programs, to develop those skills, and most especially to analyze what's actually working, you're not going to be able to grow it. A video like this is only the start. You need to make sure that you have time set aside on a consistent basis to figure out what's not working or where you need to be going next. Comment with "I'm not slowing down" if you know this one applies to you. Number 27, that you can't seem to grow your business, is that you're burnt out. It doesn't matter how many ideas you have, how many strategies, you will not be able to see straight, to think straight, to make the right decisions if your brain is fried. So if you're making poor decisions or no decisions, if you're just trying to keep up with everything, if you're exhausted, you gotta focus on getting healthy before you can actually start growing anything. And then number 28, you're unconsciously nervous about growing your business. You might be in a stage right now where it's hard or it's stressful. It's really easy to think to ourselves, if it's this hard or if it's this stressful now, what's it gonna be like if I grow? If I'm already going through these challenges, if it's already having this impact on my home, on my family, what's it gonna be like if I grow? It's really easy for us to not realize that we're staying where we are because we unconsciously think that more means worse. What I want you to realize is that where you are is the messy middle, and it's hard to stay in the messy middle. To get to where you wanna go means fixing those messes, which means they're not gonna go with you. They can. If you don't properly fix them, you can carry them forward. But to really grow, to really be successful, means fixing the things that are hard and stressful now so they become smooth, they become easy, they become outsourceable so that you can scale your business and not scale the stress, not scale the overwhelm, not scale the frustrations with it. By the way, these are all things that we help you master in the Inner Circle. From mastering your mindset to structuring your business in a way that allows it to grow without burning out, to learning how to automate the crap out of everything so that you can put it all on autopilot. That's the kind of thing we do. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to check out my Healthy Hustle Roadmap. I have a free class, How to Use a Holistic Approach to Create a Profitable Business Without Burning Yourself Out, that will teach you the 3 mistakes small business owners are making and introduce you to the roadmap and the strategies I use to help you create reliable profits in under 40 hours a week. You can find the link to that free class in the description below. Be sure to leave a fist bump in the comments if you made it to the end of this video and let me know your biggest takeaway. Give this video a thumbs up if you feel a little bit called out by it, and be sure to check out these next videos to help you grow your business as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.